The cashless society we've heard about for years, well, it's here. This isn't a conspiracy theory anymore, it's the planned demolition of the financial system you and I grew up with. Just look at Europe. The groundwork for the digital euro is already being laid. The European Central Bank has been deep in a preparation phase, and now they're deciding on the next steps to bring it to life. This isn't just about tapping your phone to pay, it's about control. We're talking about programmable money that can be tracked, traced, and even have taxes automatically deducted. But here's the part, they don't exactly shout from the rooftops. While much of the world is being guided into this new system of financial surveillance, you have a window for opportunity right now in America. You still have a choice. You can either sit on the sidelines and watch your savings get chipped away, or you can make a pivotal move. It's a move I made in my late 30s to build my own financial independence, and it's one you can make today to secure yours. So stick with me, because I'm not just going to show you how to survive what's coming. I'm going to show you how to thrive in it. Let's get brutally honest about the system we're all living in. It's built on a massive, ever-growing mountain of debt. Global debt has swelled to over $300 trillion, with the worldwide debt-to-GDP ratio hovering around a staggering 90%. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. This is a ticking time bomb. To keep this whole thing from collapsing, governments and central banks really only have one trick left up their sleeve: print more money. And that's just devalues our currencies. Think of the dollars in your savings account like a blob of ice on a hot day. Even if the number on your statement stays the same, its real-world buying power is constantly melting away. Inflation, even when it seems low, is a silent thief robbing you year after year. And, well, some forecasts see it cooling down. It's not going away. Now, here comes the trigger that could accelerate everything, literally. Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. We talked about the digital euro, but it's not just Europe. More than 130 countries, which represent the vast majority of the world's economy, are looking into or already developing their own digital currencies. The BRICS nations are even openly discussing a platform to use these kinds of currencies for trade, which is a clear shot at the US dollar's long-held dominance. Why are they all rushing to do this? Because a cashless system run on CBDCs gives governments an incredible amount of power. It allows them to see every transaction. It gives them a solution to the debt crisis through things like negative interest rates and automated tax collection. You just can't do that with a word of physical cash. This isn't some sci-fi movie. This is the financial reset. It's happening in plain sight, and the worlds are closing on the traditional ways of saving money and building wealth. So, what does all this mean for you and the money you worked so hard for? It means that a feeling of safety you get from seeing your balance at the bank is partly an illusion. Let's talk about how banking actually works with something called fractional reserve banking. Most of us think that when we deposit $1,000, the bank puts it in a safe little box. But that's not what happens. The bank is allowed to lend out most of your money. In fact, back in 2020, the reserve requirement in the United States was officially set to 0%. Now, to be fair, large banks do have other rules about liquidity they have to follow to prevent a total collapse. But the fundamental point stands that physical cash to cover every single dollar of deposits simply doesn't exist. The system runs on confidence, and in real crisis, confidence can disappear in a flash. Meanwhile, as the dollar faces these long-term pressures, the wealth you hold in that bank account is losing its punch. What you could buy for $100 last year cost you more today, and it will likely cost you even more next year. Holding into cash and letting it sit in a standard saving account is like volunteering to lose. You're guaranteed to lose purchasing power over time. This is what keeps people up at night. The fear of waking up one day to find that your life savings can't actually buy you the life you planned for. The fear of being left behind by a system that's changing the rules without asking for your permission. It's a real fear. But fear is only useful if it pushes you to take action. Now, if you're getting something out of this and you're ready to stop being a spectator and start taking control of your financial life, do me a quick favor and hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. I'm here to give you strategies that empower you, not just scare you. Your support helps me to get this message out there to more people who really need to hear this. Okay, now for the good news. Unlike many other places in the world, you currently have a huge advantage here in the United States. While the government might be exploring a digital dollar, it's facing a ton of political pushback and is nowhere near a sure thing. And in the meantime, a parallel financial system has been quietly built, one that you can use to protect yourself. I'm talking about stablecoins. The easiest way to think about stablecoins is as digital dollars. They're a type of cryptocurrency designed to hold a steady value, usually packed one-to-one with the US dollar. Companies that issue them, like Circle with its USDC, are regulated and hold reserves like cash and US government bonds to back every single digital dollar they create. And while there's no big bill passed just yet, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle in the US are actively working on creating a clear legal framework for them, which will bring even more security and clarity to the space. So why is this your big advantage? Because unlike a government-run CBDC, you control your stablecoins. They exist on public blockchains that you can access 24/7, and you can send them anywhere in the world in a few minutes for pennies, nor the high fees of bank wire. They aren't just subject to direct micromanagement of a central bank. While the money in your bank account is slowly devaluing and earning you practically nothing, you can convert those dollars into stablecoins and take your first step into a new kind of financial system. The stablecoin market is already huge and is projected to grow to nearly $2 trillion by 2030. This is the dollar of internet, and it's quickly becoming the foundation for a whole new world of finance. This is your first move to opt out of the old decaying system. You're not ditching the dollar, you're just upgrading to a smarter, freer, and more powerful version of it. Holding stablecoins helps protect you from fragile banking system, but it doesn't solve the inflation problem. To do that, your money has to be working for you. You need to earn yield. And this is where the strategy gets really exciting. For decades, the only ones who really profited from moving money around were the big banks and payment companies. They were the toll collectors on the highway of the global economy. But the technology that powers stablecoins, known as decentralized finance or DeFi, is flipping that script. DeFi is like a transparent, automated global financial system that's being built on the blockchain, and it lets you act like the bank. Instead of letting your money get eaten by inflation in a bank account, earning 0.1%, you can deposit your stablecoins into DeFi lending protocols. They're basically platforms where you can lend out your digital dollars and earn interest from borrowers. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2%. We're talking about attractive yields that can often range from 3 to 7%, sometimes more depending on the market. Now, these aren't risk-free, of course. Yields fluctuate and you have to be smart about which platforms you use. But think about what that means. You're no longer just a user of financial system, you're an active participant who's earning a piece of the action. You are the one collecting a share of the fees. You're providing the liquidity that helps this new system run. In a very real sense, you get to own a small piece of the infrastructure that's replacing the old one. This is how you stop being a victim of currency devaluation and start profiting from the new world of finance. You take your fading dollars, turn them into powerful digital dollars, and then put them to work in a system that actually pays you for showing up. This isn't about gambling on a volatile crypto market. It's about using stable dollar-backed assets to generate cash flow. It's a strategy that can give you both security and growth in a time of incredible financial change. This financial reset is happening. You can see all the pieces moving on board. The mountains of debt, the rush towards cashless societies, and the development of central bank digital currencies. A lot of people will be caught completely off guard, watching their savings and the future get worn down by the forces they don't understand. But that's not going to be you, because now you know the strategy. You know that your bank doesn't hold all your money and that your dollars are quietly losing their power. But you also know the solution. You know how to use the American advantage by moving into digital dollars, stable coins that you actually control. And you know how to put those digital dollars to work in decentralized finance to earn a meaningful yield, protecting yourself from inflation and building real wealth. This is your moment to make a choice. You can stay in the old system and just hope for the best, or you can step into the new one with confidence. I made this choice and it's completely transformed my life. It's the reason I have financial freedom today, and you can do the same. Subscribe to this channel and hit that like button, and I will see you next on this video right here.